Welcome back to SabreTalk. We are here with Episode 4. We got Travis and Jackie.
Nailed it.
Yeah, hey, I got that part right. Ricki and Sons, though, is the company. You guys, I guess, let's tell everybody a little bit about you guys. Like, what do you guys do? Who is Ricki and Sons?
Start it.
Well, so Ricki is his dad.
Okay.
And the business was named because Travis had a lot of buddies growing up that didn't have dads in the picture. And so Ricki kind of became the pseudo-father for all of his buddies.
Awesome.
And so him and his friend Mark started this is a
nonprofit.
Yeah, like repairing cars for battered women, things like that.
Awesome.
And so they decided to call it Ricki and Sons. So Ricki was always around, and helped with cars and stuff like that. Well, then Mark got really sick and ended up passing away of cancer at 27.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
So that kind of ended that chapter of Ricki and Sons. But then Travis and I just started putzing around and making tables and things like that. And friends said, hey, can you make me a table? Okay, sure. So pretty soon that became our new adventure. And we decided to keep the name because it had a good story.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. Here we are.
And here we are. Ricki and Sons on a podcast.
Yep.
Right? No, that's pretty awesome. I've been fortunate enough to know you guys for quite a while now, it feels like. Maybe it's not as long as it feels, but I feel like we've become pretty good friends, actually, over the time. And we met because of, obviously, the business. It's something that I'm pretty proud of that, what you guys do kind of brought you to us. And I guess let's talk about that. I guess now you guys have evolved. You guys were doing, cars before and some pretty cool stuff. I will say that's some pretty cool stuff. But now you guys have evolved it, as you said, into a separate business. And let's talk a little bit about that, because you guys build a lot of custom metal projects. I would say just custom projects in general, because I've seen everything from a pine tree or a palm tree, I think it is, right? You guys have an awesome palm tree that I've seen you guys made out of metal. There's a lot of home decor that's in my own home. My wife shops at your guys' place frequently, it feels like. So, I guess let's tell the people that haven't seen your stuff, and obviously let's plug your website. If people want to check you out, where do they see it? What do they see?
Sure. We have a website. It's called RickiandSons.com. It's RICKI. My dad always gets mad because it's like the feminine spelling of that, but that's right. That's how I spell it. So, the palm tree is probably one of our bigger things. We make 10, 12-foot palm trees, about 160 to 180 pieces in each one. We cut them all on our machine, weld them together, and make them into each one's kind of its own masterpiece when we get done with it. But home decor is probably our bread and butter of the business. And like Jackie said, when we started, it was a lot of the tables and bigger things like that. And we really needed something we could ship. And that's when we came to ShopSabre back in, it was about 17, 18.
17, yeah.
Somewhere in there, when it was like we were trying to get more streamlined as far as efficiency.
Yep.
And to get stuff in-house, because we were outsourcing some stuff that was just taking too long to get back. And especially in our earlier days, not that we don't still screw stuff up, but in our earlier days, you draw something and you get it back and be like, you know what, we need to make some modifications. All of a sudden you're 3 weeks into a project and you double that to get it back again. And it really became, let's get into some smaller home decor. And we still do really big projects too, but that's just kind of our bread and butter.
Yeah, and you guys do, you guys don't really have a limit to what you'll do. I feel like somebody brings you an idea, you guys are willing to tackle it. Like, it's a pretty cool thing about you guys. Now, I guess, what got you into the metalworking industry? Obviously, cars is what you're doing before, right? You guys are doing some pretty cool stuff with cars. Obviously, we know the story there, kind of a tragic situation there. But what inspired you guys to say, hey, we're going to go into metal? Like, this is what we're going to do now. Like, where'd that come from?
So in high school, I had a really good welding teacher. He's actually a phenomenal guy, and I loved working with steel over wood. I don't know what I liked about it, but just, I was like, fire and metal, this is awesome. Like, what's more manly than that?
Yeah.
It's just super cool. And then I kind of got away with that once I went into law enforcement. I was a police officer for a long time. And it was kind of a hobby just with the cars too. You're always welding something's breaking. All about that. So then once we got into figuring out what we wanted to do for a business, it just kind of came natural that that's what we're going to do. And Jackie does all of our drawing stuff. She's really good with technology. So that, the two just kind of paired up well for us.
That's awesome. And Jackie, you obviously, he got into metalworking because of obviously his passion for fire, as he said. But what got you into the drawing and the technology? Where does that come from? Is it just self-taught or?
Yeah,
okay.
Pretty much. Yeah. When we first got our machine, I looked at en route and I'm like, all right, we're doing this. I don't know a thing about it, but I got to figure it out. So
you had no previous experience.
Nope.
So I guess that's a cool thing. Let's talk about that a second, because we get a lot of, there's a lot of people that are watching and listening to us that they're afraid to make that jump. They don't know the software, and they believe 100% in their mind they can't do it. Obviously, you're coming into it with I had no experience before either. So I guess, what would you say to somebody who is afraid to try that software and to get started?
Well, first of all, ShopSabre has amazing support. So, I mean, we wouldn't have been able to get going if it weren't for that. That's one thing that really drew us to your company in the first place. But I think just jump in. If you have any technology experience, any computer experience, I mean, you can figure it out. There's lots of tutorials, and there's, stuff online that can help you. The manual's decent. So I just fumbled through it, and the more I did it, the easier it came. So.
And you did it at a time, I mean, I think about when you guys bought your machine, like, we were a much smaller company back then, and we didn't have the resources even ourselves that we have now. Like, now we have that Sabre Nation group where you can go out and ask questions. That didn't exist back then.
Right.
Now we have Sabre Nation University, which has all the tutorial videos and all the stuff and the training. So yeah, you did it all at a time when, like, the resources weren't as easy to come by either. So I think that says a lot too, that there's a lot of resources at your fingertips. Now, in terms of, like, your guys' projects and what you do, what's your favorite thing? What do you guys enjoy the most? Like, when somebody orders it, what project is every time you're like, yes, I'm glad somebody ordered that again?
I like the lake signs.
Yeah, that's probably, we do custom lake signs, and I think it's the wood metal combination type thing, and it's custom to someone specifically, and each one's a little bit different. So I think that's probably one of my closest, towards the top for sure.
That's cool. So for anybody who doesn't know it, and you can see it on your website again, but they make a lake map, essentially. It's a sign of the actual lake. So, whatever lake you're on, they can cut it out of metal, and then there's a piece of wood that's behind it. And I will say, I don't live on a lake, but I want one of those super bad, because they're super cool. Is there a most popular, product that you guys sell?
We have this one product that we're not huge fans of, but it sells a ton of. And I always tell people, I'm like, don't sell what you like, sell what sells. I mean, it was hard for me right away. Because I think when we got into the business, the cars was our background. So I'm like, let's make garage signs, let's make this. And there is a market for that. It wasn't our market. So we got into, we have this thing called an infinity heart. And it's just an infinity symbol with a heart. And we don't have any in our house, but we sold thousands and thousands and thousands of them. We probably sold a few today. It's just like they're just always selling. And it's a simple cut for us. And it's I feel like at that point we're just printing money when we cut. And it's kind of cool. It's just you put a sheet on, you get 50 hearts out of it, and they're gone in a week. And it's cool. All right, perfect.
Yeah, we so way back when we first started really promoting our plasma stuff, I cut an infinity symbol. There's like a giant one that is the only piece of home decor that is in my house that I have actually made, and it is terrible looking because it's next to everything you guys have done. So, my wife reminds me at every time, she's like, you can tell which one they did not make, because mine did not turn out the way your guys' turned out. So, no, you guys do an awesome job. I have little snowmen all over my counter in the winter that you guys have made. I can't even think. We have a sign in the basement above. My wife has a knack for planning parties, and so we have like a bar area that has popcorn machine and all that, and you guys made a sign for the top of that. So I said I've got a lot of your guys' stuff in my house, so I can speak from a consumer standpoint that it's kind of funny to see it come full circle. You guys were a consumer of ours. You guys became a customer of mine first, and then obviously now we're kind of coming back to you guys. And we were just talking about it before the show started, is we have a state fair here in Minnesota, and I think it's like, isn't it like the second largest state fair in the United States?
Second or third. I think it depends on the year. It kind of flip-flops between Iowa and Texas.
Yeah, but it's a very large state fair, and we literally have to go to the state fair, specifically to come see you guys. Like, you guys live like 15 miles, not even that. I bet it's, 15 miles from here?
Yeah, we're close.
Yeah, you're not far from Lakeville here. And from my house, you're even closer. I think you're like 2 minutes from my house. And we could literally drive to your house and do all the same stuff. But my wife makes a point of it that we are going to the state fair to see your guys' booth. And we were talking about it last year. You guys had kind of a snag where they moved you guys, and you weren't in your normal spot. And my wife and I knew you were there, and we literally walked around for an hour. because we were not leaving until we found you guys. So it's pretty awesome. Like I said, I think you guys have built that following. And what's cool for me is I hung out in your guys' booth for a little while last year, just to kind of be there, and just how many people come back up to you guys that from the year before. Like I saw a lot of like, oh, we're so glad we found you again. And I just get to hear the stories. And I guess tell us a little bit about that. Like the business relationship, obviously, that you've built over the years, that, obviously I'm sure there's clients that are returning customers a lot. And tell us a little bit about that. What do you guys see on the returning? How much of your business do you think is word of mouth?
It's kind of funny when you said right away, it's the return business. I think we didn't know anything about business, kind of like when we bought the ShopSabre. We didn't really know much about it. I mean, we dabbled here and there, but it was, I feel like our big thing was answer the phone and treat people right. Yeah. And it's, I mean, if somebody calls us and there's a problem, or if we mess something up, we're human. I mean, we own that. It happens. But I think that's why we get so much return business, is because we do mess stuff up. We own it. We repair it. Do whatever we can to make it right for the customer. And in turn, they send people to us. So going to the fair is really cool, because people will be like, I have that fire pit. We use it all the time. It's awesome. And then somebody else will be standing there, and it's like they sell it to each other. And I think that's the coolest part. I know ShopSabre knows how that is too, because we're here, right? I mean, like same thing where it's like, we're happy with the product. People stand behind it. It makes you want to support that company. And I think that's what we have going for us right now, because we're busy. I mean, and it's good. And it's given us a lot of freedoms we didn't have before having the machine, before having our own business. So
yeah. And obviously there's a lot of good things in business, but obviously every business has its challenges, right? Let's talk about some of that. Like, what's your guys' biggest challenge that you guys face in your business? And, I guess what was the biggest challenge prior to having the ShopSabre that maybe you've overcome? I guess that's kind of a two-part question, but what do you guys see in business that's like, hey, these are things that we work through every day, and how is the ShopSabre helping you overcome some of those challenges?
I'd say first part of that, efficiency is our problem. Is that we deal with a ton of efficiency issues, and that's due to growth. When we started, our first year in business, we had 11 sales. Our second year was 99. Now we'll do 500 a week sometimes. So I mean, to just think about the difference in like a day, we do more than we used to do in a year. So the growth, it makes us very inefficient. I mean, we're all over the place with our product going. I mean, we're shipping from our house because our shop's not done. It's close. That's what I was working on before I came here, and it got very close. But it's just trying to get those things figured out so we can make stuff more streamlined and not touch a product 10 times. I think that's just really it's a headache for us. And then shipping on our kitchen table with our kids running around and bubble wrap everywhere, and it's just, they think it's fun to pop everything.
Absolutely.
It drives me. That's not efficient either. Just buying more bubble wrap all the time. So, but yeah, I mean, the ShopSabre, it's just given us that efficiency, right? Where I can walk away, especially with that collision control. We didn't have that on our machine right away. We had the magnetic release. Once we got that collision detection, I could walk away. I mean, I could be doing other things in the shop, not pay as much attention to the machine, and just let it cut. Be like, it cut for 3 hours, and then I can go back and be like, all right, move stuff and do it again. And that just, I mean, it made it where we could cut 300, 400, 500 projects compared to cutting 10 in a day. So
that's awesome. And it's crazy when you think about that volume too. Like you said, 11 projects a year the first year and 500 in a day now. Like, is it not unheard of? And it's like, that just shows you that, I mean, it's kind of that if you build it, they will come kind of thing, right? I mean, you guys kind of built this business that just came out of nothing. I mean, it was just like, hey, this is going to be cool, and people are really into it. Now, from you guys' standpoint, how has the integration of the ShopSabre Plasma impacted your production processes or the quality of your work?
Prior to having the machine, we didn't have that ability. I mean, we were outsourcing it, and so we were so limited as to what projects we could say yes to. Turnaround times were weeks instead of, maybe even months, probably, Now, depending on our volume, we're, probably weeks anyway, but it's still a lot faster than we could turn things around before.
I think what's interesting too is like we use it in all projects. There's a lot of projects that, not home decor, but like bigger, we build docks up north. So like even there's not a lot of plasma cut parts, but there's parts of that we can't do as efficiently if we didn't have the machine. It's like hand drilling holes in heavy brackets, making brackets, trailer parts, like all of these things that we do that we don't really advertise, but the machine has a part of that because it makes us faster, more efficient. Plus it looks so much nicer than me hacking something with a, an angle grinder and like, yeah, that looks straight. It's just, it's giving us that efficiency and then the overall quality when we're done with something because the parts look precision. They look good. And it's a nice final product compared to if we're just hacking it up with hacksaws and hand cut plasmas. It's just not the same thing.
And let's talk about hacking things up with a grinder for a second, because obviously everybody buys, when they get their plasma, the first thing they do is they start cutting parts, and everybody's going to get some level of slag, and, there's some debris on the backside of these parts. And I mean, it's just part of plasma. It's just, heck, it's part of laser too. You get it on these parts. And, when you clean them off, for a while, you guys were doing it. I mean, I remember the stories. You guys were telling me you're sitting there spending more time grinding the back of your parts, cleaning it off than actually the machine cuts because, you had so many parts cut out. But you guys then invested in a new product. Obviously, I don't know how long ago it was now. It's been a couple of years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a few years.
A couple of years now. And it's called an Easy Sander. We sell them here at ShopSabre, but you can go right to our website and check those out. In fact, I got a button for that. I just don't have to talk about ShopSabre. I can ShopSabre.com. That place. So you go to ShopSabre and you can actually check out the Easy Sander. But tell people a little bit about that. What did the Easy Sander bring to the business? I mean, what has that done for you guys?
I can say you're bringing back bad memories. Pretty Easy Sander. It was a rough go. There was actually what changed it for us was Christmas is crazy for us. Obviously, everybody's buying gifts, whatever else, and we have a lot of smalls. That like $20 to $100 range. And my dad and I were sitting there with 2 angle grinders with flap discs and wire wheels. And we spent, it was 2 full days. It was 10 hours each day. So you figure, between 2 guys, we spent 40 hours. We burned up, and we had 5 grinders sitting there because we'd burn them up because we were using them so much.
Yep.
And it was 2 days of that. My forearms, I could barely move. We're just covered in soot and, whatever else. And my dad's like, this sucks. And, we let him sweep the floors, but I also let him grind stuff, Ricki. So, yeah, it's a privilege. So, because typically after grinding, there's a lot of sawdust or dust. He needs to clean up, metal dust. But that's when I looked at the Easy Sander. I'm like, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
And I think they're out of Golden Valley or something. I don't remember. I went up there and just checked them out. I didn't know you guys sold them at the time. That's right when you guys started selling them.
Correct.
That we did an efficiency run. What took us 8 hours, we got done in 19 minutes. And I have some friends in business, and I called one of them, and I'm like, hey, this is what I got going. This machine's spendy, but this is how much time it's going to save. And I'm on the phone with them, and he says, do you need me to cut you a check, or what are you looking for? I'm like, no, I'm looking for advice. And he basically called me some names that I won't repeat. He's like, you are an absolute idiot. If it's saving you that much time, he's like, time's money. You need to buy this today. Like, this is dumb. And that's when I made the phone call and ordered the machine. And it's, next, it's the most used piece of equipment in the shop besides the ShopSabre. It's like, as soon as it cuts, it goes over to the Easy Sander, and it gives us an awesome finish, and it's quick, and it saves us so much time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that story because I think it really, for a lot of people, we talk about the CNC machine and things that we're able to accomplish because of machines. Things that we talk about in the cabinet industry a lot because cabinet industry is one where you see a lot of time savings as well. Guys are like, yeah, it takes me an hour to cut this cabinet out, and the machine does it in like 6 minutes. So the machine saves you time already because of that. But a lot of people don't realize that side of it too, is that we have a solution for you, not just on the machine side, but on the actual finishing side too, that, once the parts are cut, you still need to do something with them. And, a lot of times, like you said, you're sitting there with a flap disc, and it's fine if you're doing one part a week.
Mm-hmm.
That might work. But when you're doing 500 parts a day, you better come up with a solution. And so that Easy Sander is a pretty nice thing. Now, kind of looking back, not to bring up bad memories, so let's bring up good memories now. What's the most memorable in your guys' minds? What's the most memorable or interesting project that you guys can recall doing in the time you've been in business? And whether it be on this business or if it's before this in the the car business, I guess, what's the most memorable project that you guys have tackled?
Is there something coming to mind?
Well, I'm thinking about restaurants just because they're big projects, maybe not memorable necessarily in the best of ways sometimes. But
yeah, we'll talk about that one. We did one for a Wounded Warrior project. It was with Elite Transportation, and it was a donation thing. And we had a combination project with a woodworker, and he did some hand wood burning, and it was but it was donated for Wounded Warriors, and that was just a really cool one just because of what it supported. I guess that one was memorable to me. And then we do Special Olympic stuff too.
That's cool.
So those are always really cool because the smiles you see on these guys' faces or guys and gals' faces in the Special Olympics when they get, like a little trophy or something we made. To me, that's always super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as memorable, like just because they're such big projects for us being such a small company, you can go with those.
Yeah. So we did a lot of stuff for, I'm drawing a blank. What's the name of it?
Wild Bills.
Wild Bills.
That's cool.
So like big light poles and, signs for their gate out front and stuff like that. Tables, indoor signs that they backlit.
That's
So
sweet.
just a lot of stuff for one particular project
Yeah.
kind of jumped to the forefront of my mind. But
So all you people who've passed out at a Wild Bill's, you may have passed out on a table they built.
It's their sturdy, I promise. They're sturdy.
No, that's pretty cool that you guys have done that stuff. And I mean, I think that goes a long way when you think about that. Like the name Wild Bill's, a lot of people recognize that, and to think that like it started, there's a part of that franchise, if you will, or that company that went through you guys, like that. It's kind of a cool thing when you put yourself in that. I do that with ShopSabre once in a while. I think about it, and we've worked with some pretty big companies over the years, and I think about the things we've done for the companies like yourself, where it's like a small company and now you've done stuff with Wild Bill's and been able to do some of this stuff. And, I think about from ShopSabre standpoint, like we've worked with some pretty big companies, Google, for example. Like I always laugh. I tell everybody that like 99% of people need Google. We need Google, but Google in this case needed us. I guess kind of a cool thing to be able to say, So, it's kind of cool like in your guys' place that you get to go into these restaurants and obviously you hang out with your friends and you go do stuff and it's like, oh, we made that. Like we did that. Like that's kind of cool to be able to say that. So that's pretty awesome. And, what sets your guys' business apart, you think? I mean, you grew from 11 sales a year, as you said, to 500 a day. What do you think sets you guys apart? What do you think sets your business apart from other industries or others in your industry? What makes Ricki and Sons unique?
I think kind of like you said right away, is we're not usually too afraid to tackle something, and I think it's because we're willing to screw up. And
yeah.
I've always said that it's like if my biggest fear is to fail at something. So it's like, all right, if we take it on, we're going to master it. Maybe not master it, but we're going to get it figured out and then master it eventually and get it to a point where somebody's happy with it. And just showing a little humility in that and going, all right, like this is maybe beyond us, but we'll give it a go. And I always tell a customer, like, I haven't done this before. I think I can do it. Let's figure this out.
That's cool.
And I think that's what sets us apart. And then answering our phone and getting back to customers. Jackie's
service.
Yeah, Jackie's on that part of it for sure, as far as customer contact, running our website, Instagram, Etsy, Facebook, all that stuff. And I think people nowadays, I think me as a consumer, I can't stand when I call somebody and I don't get a call back. Or it's like I'm trying to give you money for a product. Why are you not responding to me? So we always try and make sure, whether good news, bad news, whatever it is, it's like we get back to the same day. It's very seldom it's the next day.
Yep.
I think that blows me away though in today's world. Like you said, people accept that though, is what blows me away. Like even in our industry, we sell CNC machines obviously, and we call everybody back. I mean, within an hour usually. Like within an hour of them reaching out to us, we're going to reach back out, unless it's after hours or something. Then it'll be within an hour of the next business day. But it blows me away that we'll talk to people and they're like, yeah, we're considering your product still, but we're waiting to hear back from so-and-so still. And I'm like, oh, they're doing a revision. Oh, no, we haven't talked to them yet, but we put a quote request in. When did you do that? 4 days ago. If it's taken them that long to even get you the quote, you're trying to give them money. What's it going to be like after they have your money?
Right.
And that's what blows me away, is that just as a society, people have accepted that level of service. Like, I don't know, it's just so bad out there now with service that it's like when companies like yourself or us give you good service, people are almost like blown away by it now, because to us it's like it's just normal. Like this is how it should be.
Right.
But like people are like, oh my God, you called me the same day. Like so people don't. Like that's a thing. So yeah, that's kind of funny that you say that. But yeah, I agree. I think I would say, speaking on your guys' business as a consumer, it's definitely your guys' customer service. I mean, you guys are great people. Don't get me wrong, and I love the idea that you're not afraid to screw things up, because everybody I think in this world tries to pretend that they're perfect and everything, and I think you're just like we are. Like, hey, we're humans. We screw things up. It happens. Let's move forward.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you've seen that video on our Facebook of me wiping out on my commute from that house to my shop, and it's like we highlight our screw ups because it makes people laugh. It makes us laugh, right? And it makes us human. And I mean, I think she played the video of me following on our surveillance probably 400 times with my kids laughing their tails off, and I'm like, hey, it happens, right? And the problem is I did it 2 years in a row. So
I think I reached out to you when I saw that. If I'm not mistaken, I was on Facebook, obviously doing ShopSabre stuff, and I stumbled across your guys' page. And yes, you guys had a picture or a video on your Ricki and Sons Facebook page of you wiping out in the middle of the winter here. It was, if I'm not mistaken, it was on the ice, wasn't it? Not, if I recall correctly. And I remember like instantly having to reach out to you and just give you a hard time about it. But I'm like, it worked. It got people watching, like, and I shared it because I'm like, I'm sorry, but people following sometimes is funny. So I knew you were okay, so I was gonna share it. So it was pretty good. You obviously got your business name out there, and it's we live, for those who don't have to deal with it, we live in a state where there is winter. and things freeze, and it hurts your face to go outside in the winter sometimes. But yeah, sometimes you get comedy out of it. So
It's funny for everybody.
it is. We may have to dig that video up and share that. That might have to come up again. But let's talk about, okay, so we know where you've come from. Where are you guys going? How do you guys see your business growing, expanding in the future? What's coming down the pipeline for you guys? Are there, and maybe you can't talk about them, maybe there's things that are surprises, but are there any exciting plans or projects that you guys are willing to talk about or foresee coming in the near future?
We got a couple of fun ones coming up. We can't talk a ton about some of them because they're going to be on some TV shows that we're pretty excited about. And then there was we just cut some signs for Shields Sporting Goods, and we're doing those. Were up at the Horse and Hunt Club in Prior Lake. We actually cut quite a few signs for them. I guess we're just going to kind of follow where this roller coaster's taking us.
That's cool.
And it's we've really kind of, not intentionally, but we've been working on a lot bigger projects. I mean, whether that be big commercial signage, bigger tables. I mean, we just built a 15-foot bar the other day.
Wow.
I mean, there's always something. I feel like somebody's always reaching out with another opportunity. And then once you post a picture of that or post an image of that, all of a sudden it's like you get a bunch of direction that way. And I don't feel like we control it, maybe. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the events we're going to are really, affecting the type of business we're getting to. We're doing more events this year. I think we're doing 16 this year. And so just getting in front of different markets.
Yeah.
People are seeing our stuff and going, oh, can you make this? And, sure. Yeah, why not?
But I think we're just kind of limited by the creativity that our customers bring to us, really. I mean, like, we can always imagine new stuff up, but it's like, who's going to want that? Do people want the same thing I want?
Yeah.
Where it's like, they need a customer bringing in an idea for themselves, and then it just opens a door to something else. And I mean, we cut an amusement park sign the other day that was 36 feet long. I mean, it's like this big, it's going to have 5,000 lights or something like that in it. So it's like something that I could have never seen us doing before.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh yeah, we can do that. Not a big deal. So it's just, we're just waiting for the next door to open, and we just head that direction and see where it takes us.
I think that's what makes you guys very successful, is that you're not afraid to take on something you didn't understand before. I think, like you said at the beginning of this, you said, sell what people want to buy, not what you want to sell. And I think so many people think the opposite. They just sell what they want to do because this is what I like and I think it's cool. Well, yeah, you're a small percentage of the people, though. There might be a bunch of people that believe the same thing you believe and like what you like, but there's a bunch of people that don't, and it's like, so if you're willing to take on their ideas and do what somebody else wants, I think you'll find that there's a lot of potential out there. I think that's kind of what's led ShopSabre the direction it's been for the years. Is what we've always done is kind of let the customer guide us, and we take a lot of feedback and criticism from our customers and look at it as, okay, how can we make ourselves better? And sometimes, I'm sure you guys get too, there's certain things that get presented to you and you're just like, okay, that's not feasible. There's not a big enough market for it. But sometimes the best ideas come from somebody else, and it's like, wow, why didn't I think of that? Well, I didn't think of it, but it's a great idea. We're going to exploit that now, so I think that's pretty cool. Like I said, I think the idea of kind of just taking it wherever the customers lead you. Now, you mentioned earlier you're building a new building or finishing a building, or what's the story there?
So we started when we were working on cars. We had a 40 by 40 shop that was like heated, that we use. In Minnesota, obviously it gets cold, so we had a cold storage as well. But we've been shipping off of our kitchen table, and that just isn't a kitchen table we built, so it's sturdy, but it's not. It's not
Eat on it once in a while.
Yeah, that'd be pretty nice. So we added onto our shop. COVID really shut us down as far as contractors and stuff.
Yep.
It was really tough. So the building was enclosed like end of July last year. So we went from 1,600 square feet where we'll have 5,000 square feet. Wow. It'll be like 1,600-ish of storage, inventory, packaging. And then the rest of that, 3,400 square feet will be shop. We got some new equipment like a press brake and some bigger like rolling tools so we can start rolling steel, because we're doing that all by hand now, which is a pain.
Mm-hmm.
So just some other equipment just to make us more efficient and just give us a space, because the bigger projects in a 40 by 40 shop, 40 by 40 may seem really big to some people. It's really small when you start building 30, 40 foot docks, when you start 30 foot signs, and then you have all your equipment in there. So like a 40 by 88 foot area that we can build projects, and it's the two of us, and then our dads help us out here and there.
That's cool.
As far as it's just family business. Our kids, we get some slave labor out of them. Sure. No, we all know how that goes. Yeah, 8 and 11 or 9 and 11-year-old, and their attention span sometimes isn't as long as I'd like it, but
yeah, for sure.
Get there.
like you said, bubble wrap distracts you really quickly. So I'm gonna be honest though, I'm still distracted by bubble wrap. So I'm not gonna lie.
Hard not to be.
Yeah, that's why they keep me out of the shop. They don't want me stepping on the bubble wrap out there. But no, that's cool. I mean, you guys are expanding your shop, and it's still on your property. Obviously, it's the same building that you guys have had, just larger now. It sounds like, or bigger. So that's pretty nice. I guess the commute's not terrible then.
Well, that's what I thought until I wiped out those couple times, and I'm like, it's worse than people think. I mean, like, it may not have traffic, but it's got hazards.
I gotta find that video again. That was awesome. So, let's talk to the people listening to us right now. I guess, can you offer any advice or insight for aspiring to be something you guys have become? Like entrepreneurs. There's people out there that are listening that have, they got an idea and they're thinking that, should I do it? You said it yourself. You had another job you were doing before. You were a police officer before, and obviously you guys are full into this. This is what pays the bills for you guys.
Yep.
And you guys have to sell something to pay the bills. And obviously you said it yourself. You have a 9 and 11-year-old that depend on that. So there's people out there right now listening, and I know we've all seen it. People are out there. I can't do it, right? I can't do it now because I have 2 kids, or I can't do it now because they have a million excuses why they can't do it. What's your advice or your insight that you can give somebody, that's looking at doing something similar, starting a business of their own, and whether it be doesn't necessarily have to be a metalworking business like what you guys are doing, but maybe they're passionate about something. I guess, what's your guys' advice?
For me, right away, I think it was having guidance from other business owners. And I was lucky enough to have a couple really good friends of mine. One, Paul Trichka, he owned a business here locally, and he would be really honest with me when I asked him questions, like financial questions, or, like what do you expect in these parts of business? And I could bounce things off of him. Another one, buddy of mine, TJ Kladivo, who we build docks for here and there up on Lake Vermilion, and I could ask him questions, and I'd grill him for like hours just asking him, all of these business questions, because I didn't know. And I wanted to look at people who I thought were successful and doing the right things and treating people right, like what to do in certain situations. And I think a lot of it's just perseverance. I mean, really, it's hard. There's some hard times. I mean, you start out, you make your first couple sales, you think you're on top of the world, and it's like, well, hold on, those cost me more money to make than I made on those. So you got to start figuring out, margins and all of those other things, and finding products that people want, and finding, and if you don't think they want them, then make them more appealing. Work on marketing. Marketing's really, I think, really hard. But at the same time, I think as long as, the lucky thing for us is that we work really well together. Mm-hmm. So between the two of us, we find each other's strengths and weaknesses, and then we press those things forward to make ourselves different than someone else. And it's been the most freeing experience, like being able to be your own boss. And, I would recommend jumping into it right away. And my buddies were telling me the whole time, like, why are you not doing this full time, you moron, whatever else. And it was, and it was, I loved being a police officer. I really did. And life just changed, and things changed for us, and just kind of gave us a curveball that we're like, all right, well, we need to figure this out. And our intention was that she would always keep working for insurance once I had to leave law enforcement. But we didn't have to. Like, all of a sudden, we got so busy. It was like, can we really do this? Can we really make this leap? And once we did it, it's been about a little over a year. And it's been probably the best year we've ever had.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that, because I know that it hasn't been that way forever. I know I met you and you were still a police officer, and you were doing this on the side, and obviously a lot's changed now. But how's that? That was a question that you kind of jumped into. Is you said it's been the best year, but is it surreal sometimes when you look back at it and realize, like, I don't have to get up and quote unquote go to work? Yeah. Is that surreal that you're like, I'm at work already? I'm already doing what I love.
I don't care about Mondays anymore.
Yeah.
It's like the best feeling in the world. Like, Sunday night, okay, well, just get up and do my thing. So, it's amazing.
And, that's cool. I've always said that, because I feel like I tell everybody, take a vacation day on a Monday, and suddenly Monday isn't a bad day anymore. I think it's people don't like Monday because they don't like what they do. And I think that's a lot of it. Like, for me, I love what I do. I love coming to work every day. Like, I work 7 days a week. I mean, I log in and work whenever I get a chance. So, to me, Monday is just another day. But I feel like, a lot of people, they stress over that because what they're doing is not something they're passionate about.
Exactly.
And, it seems like you two are very passionate about what you do. And obviously, I think it is cool that you two work together so well. And, obviously, I have to imagine there's some risk and reward in everything you do. But the reward on this is probably the most fulfilling because you know that you built it, and there nobody else did the work for you guys. It was you guys putting in that sweat equity, if you will, And I guess as you guys kind of move forward with your business, is there anything else you guys would like to share with the audience? I mean, I guess anything that you guys want to talk about on your business or that I haven't asked about. I mean, was there anything that comes to mind?
Well, even hitting on that, what we were just talking about, I'm like, I know it sounds corny, but like it's the American dream, right? Like we get to do what we want. We get paid to do it. Nobody bosses us around. We can take on projects we want. We can leave ones that we don't. And we really get to like basically pave the road in front of us.
Yeah.
I think anybody who's, going to work, like you said, and not loving life or not loving what they're doing, and you have an idea, go with it.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you're going to work your tail off, if for some reason something doesn't work out on the end of it, you're probably still very employable to go get something else if you need to. But
Correct.
I mean, it was just, that's a couple of other people gave us that advice too, like, especially Jackie, she's like, you're so employable. If this doesn't work, go back to work. And she gets mad about that. But
want to do that, but
but no, that's why we press so hard. And I think, like you said, 7 days a week for sure. If you're going to own a business, understand that when you take a day off, the work doesn't get done when you're gone. Like it's still there. It's waiting for you when you get back. There is some plus and minuses, but man, the pluses outweigh the minuses. It's not even close.
What I like about it, I think what's cool is like in your guys' scenario, if you got to build some signs, right? You can start building the signs. But if you guys want to go to dinner, you go to dinner. But when you come home, and I've always told people like the difference, like when people ask me, like, how do you work on Saturdays and Sundays? It doesn't feel like work when you're doing, it's like you enjoy doing it for one. And like for me, it's almost, like relaxing for me sometimes when I'm like, I got some downtime. I can work on this project right now rather than like sitting on the couch and watching TV. I go out in the shop and I work on something, or I go log in and do stuff that I got to do for the business. And it's kind of rewarding in that way because you're like, it's one less thing I got to do next week. Yeah. I can work on something new. And especially for what you guys are doing, I have to imagine it's similar. You guys, when you come home, if you got some downtime, you find your way in the shop,
Oh, yeah. Or for me, it's like emails, between softball games. I'm okay, I'll respond to these emails quick, like then I don't have to do it tomorrow morning.
Correct.
It's just done. So.
Yeah, and I think that's so cool too, like with technology nowadays. I mean, CNC Plaza is a perfect example of it. Like people used to have to cut everything by hand. Now you can design, you're designing it. You're out in the shop, putting it through the easy sander, doing all that, but it's able to be done in off hours.
Mm-hmm.
You could, I have to imagine you design not always during 8 to 5.
No, not always.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I'll sit down on the evening and turn the TV on and just work on stuff.
That used to be her life.
That was, yeah.
She'd get done with her other job and we'd draw till 10, 11 every single night. Now it's, we're trying to get better about, especially when emails for sure all the time, phone calls, customer contact. We're trying to get better about like the drawing part being more during business hours, just so we can get that little bit of separation and enjoy the kids while they're young.
Yeah, work-life balance. Sometimes I would say that's the hardest thing about business. I think like owning a business, and it's funny that you said that you're trying to spend more time with the kids because that's exactly like that's been my goal this year. Like my goal this year is, we all joke about it. All the guys in the office is that like I've been here forever, obviously, and I didn't take vacation ever. Like vacation day was not a thing in my vocabulary. And now this year, like I purposely am trying to use some vacation time because I've realized it. Like you said, like I have a 9-year-old as well. And it's like, he wasn't 9 yesterday. I felt like yesterday he was 1. And it's like, I want to spend some time with the kids. And like the business does give you some freedom to do that. And that's what's kind of cool is you take that leap and you add a piece of equipment to your shop and you have the ability to create your own schedule in some ways. So it's kind of nice to be able to, like you said, build that work-life balance where now, okay, the kid has softball or has, in my case, hockey. I didn't miss a single hockey game this last winter, which is awesome. Like being able to say I've been to every hockey game, and you don't always get that when you work for somebody else,
right.
That's one of the biggest things I noticed as a change is that I show up to my kids' stuff and I don't miss anything. Neither one of us. We're probably the annoying parents to them, where it's like they're at every school event, because we can flex our schedule, we can work other hours, and the way I look at it, we got a 9 and 11-year-old. My 11-year-old kind of thinks I'm cool. My 9-year-old thinks I'm pretty cool yet. Yeah. So I'm like, I got to take advantage of that in the next year or two where they still think I'm a pretty cool guy before it turns into get out of here, Dad, whatever it is.
Right.
But we have that ability. We have that ability where we can mess with the schedule. Hey, it's raining on Saturday. Let's work on Saturday. Monday's nice. Let's go on the boat on Monday. Let's do something on Monday. And you can't do that when you're not working for yourself.
Correct. And that's what I think is funny. I do laugh about that because you get people that do dwell over the weather, right? Oh man, the weekend's going to be rainy now. But yeah, if you're a business owner, like, who cares? I'm just going to work all weekend long, and then Monday, it looks beautiful, and guess what? Nobody else is going to be on the lake because they're all at work. So, yeah, kind of a cool thing there, And that was my big thing, and having you guys on the show today was I take a lot of pride in what I do, but you guys take so much pride in what you do as well. And I've been one of those silent cheerleaders, I would say, in the background of your guys' business. Like I love watching you guys succeed, and it's been really fun for me over the years just to see like how much bigger. And what's cool for me is when people talk about you guys to me that don't know I know you. Like, it's super cool. Like, I have people that tell me about stuff that you've done for them that just through conversation, you know, they'll be like, oh, what do you do? You know, and I tell them, you know, we build CNC plasma machines. I don't always tell them specifically what, you know, machines and everything right away. And they'll be like, oh, I actually had a friend, or I had a person build me this. And we start talking. I'm like, oh, yeah, who built it? And they're like, oh, it's a company by the name of Ricki and Sons. And I'm like, yeah, they have my equipment. And they're like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, literally, I know them. Like, you know, so it's kind of cool to hear like them bragging about what you guys do for them. And, you know, it's happened. My wife, the same thing. You know, she's a teacher, and she's had parents say things. And it's just cool to see, like, you know, because she has some stuff that she has on display that people talk about. And they're like, you know, they tell us the story about the thing they had made. And it always comes back to, it seems like you guys, because obviously you're right in the area of where my wife teaches. So it's a cool thing. Like I said, I've been a big, you know, cheerleader for you guys. Like I said, I want to see you guys be, honestly, if you're successful, I am, you know, obviously you're going to tell more people about me. So no, it's cool to see. And like I said, I appreciate you guys coming down and joining us today. I know it's, again, you got a business to run, you got plenty of orders to take care of, but it's nice that you guys would spend a little time chatting with us and, you know, letting people hear a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice, I guess, too. I feel like we almost owe it to tell other people, like, there's a way out of whatever you're doing. There's a way. And it's not that we hated what we did. That's not it at all. It was an opportunity to do something else. And it's an opportunity to be your own boss. And I think if anybody has that opportunity or has that drive and wants to try it, I think you'd regret not doing it.
Yeah.
And if we can tell people, like, hey, this is our story, I mean, yes, there's bumps on the road, without a doubt. Be ready for that. Insurance is crazy expensive. Yes, of course. But you can make it work for you, and if you can, and you can be happy, I think everybody having something to be proud of is good for everybody, right? Like you said, it's like if we succeed, you succeed, and I think that's the same with so many things in this world. That if we could just get people to take that plunge and do something and apply themselves, and if you don't have to sit behind a desk because you don't want to, don't do it.
Yep. My dad said to me when I was younger, it's something I've lived by forever. My dad always told me, you can have anything you want in life as long as you help enough people get what they want. And it's like the truest thing that I can think of, because it's exactly that. As long as you help other people achieve their goals, they're going to help you achieve yours. And it's kind of cool to see that. Like you said, you help people, and obviously they're going to tell people about, I've made this sign, so now they're going to tell all their friends about it. And it's like, it just, like you said, it's that returning business, the word of mouth. And, you know, I think it comes back to just being good people, right? I mean, obviously you two are pretty good people. Obviously the stuff you guys have done speaks for itself, but you know, it's pretty awesome though, like I said, to see where people go full circle with this stuff. And, you know, again, starts as one thing and it turns into something completely different. And, you know, what you think's going to work doesn't work, and the things you think are going to fall on their face turn into the greatest things you've ever done. So it's pretty cool to see that. And again, I just appreciate you guys coming down today.
Yeah, you kind of made us look pretty good there, so that's not a bad thing either.
No, I think you guys made me look good there. This is pretty easy talking to you guys, but obviously next week we'll be back with another episode. To be honest with you, I don't even know who's on next week's episode, so I'm going to just sound dumb for a second because I don't even know who's next. But we'll be back with another one, and like I said, make sure you tune into every week. We have episodes. Talking Shop with ShopSabre. That's our other podcast. It's not video, so you don't have to stare at my face. You don't have to worry about that. They put this new bright light in here, and we're
talking about the shine on this stuff, and I got this stupid haircut.
I like it. I like your new haircut. Tell the story real quick.
A haircut. So I made a bet against I'm a coach on my daughter's softball team, and if they won these 2 games in a row that were going to be pretty tough, I said I'd shave my head into a mohawk. And you know, I may have lost, but they won, so it was, you know, win-win, I guess.
Yeah.
But now I got this haircut as a grown man, and
it looks cool.
I walked in and bought paint right before we came here, and the guy just stared at me real funny, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna go with it. I guess I'm married. I don't have anybody to impress. It's just gonna be a mohawk for a while.
Hey, I like it though. Like I said, if I could pull it off, I don't have enough hair up here anymore to be able to pull that off.
Patchy.
Yeah, it's really bald up there, so that's why I've shaved my head now. But no, like I said, I appreciate you guys coming down. Obviously, I appreciate everybody tuning in and watching the episode. Obviously, if you guys have questions, you want to learn more about what these guys do, again, your website for people watching.
Sure, it's RickiandSons.com. It's RICKI, and you can find us on Facebook for Ricki and Sons, Etsy, Instagram. Anything I'm missing?
MySpace? You guys have MySpace?
I wish we did.
You guys have Twitter?
No.
No Twitter. No. TikTok?
No.
Oh, you could put his falling video on TikTok.
I laughed.
I bet you'd get a lot of shares on that one. But yeah, make sure you go and check their stuff out. They do some awesome stuff. Of course, you can check us out, ShopSabre.com, if you have any questions. But with that, I'm Brandon, and thank you guys for joining me.
Appreciate it. Thank you.